Endless struggles, Rome versus the Germanic tribes. The prolonged conflict between Rome and the Germanic tribes was not just a battle for land but a collision of two vastly different worlds. For centuries, the Roman Empire sought to dominate the untamed lands of Germania, only to face relentless resistance. These struggles, marked by decisive battles, cunning strategies, and cultural clashes, shaped the boundaries of Europe and left a legacy of both defiance and resilience. 1. A clash of civilizations. At its core, the conflict was a stark contrast between the Roman Empire's disciplined and hierarchical system and the Germanic tribes' decentralized, free-spirited culture. Rome, a colossus of organization, the Roman Empire represented the height of centralized governance, with its legions epitomizing military discipline and engineering prowess. Germanic tribes. In contrast, the Germanic tribes operated in fragmented coalitions, fiercely loyal to their leaders and their land. Their way of life revolved around kinship bonds, oral traditions, and an unrelenting desire for freedom. This disparity in governance and culture fueled the endless struggles, as neither side could fully understand nor subdue the other. 2. Early encounters and escalation. Rome's first significant interactions with the Germanic tribes occurred during Julius Caesar's campaigns in Gaul, 58 to 50 BCE. The Rhine River became a symbolic and literal boundary between Roman order and Germanic wilderness. Crossing the Rhine. In 55 BCE, Caesar famously built a bridge across the Rhine to demonstrate Roman engineering might and intimidate the Germanic tribes. Though he withdrew after a brief incursion, the act symbolized Rome's growing interest in the region. Drusus expeditions. 12 to 9 BC, under Augustus Nero Claudius Drusus led the first major Roman expeditions into Germania. Drusus achieved several victories, establishing temporary Roman dominance and building forts along the frontier. However, his death in 9 BCE curtailed Rome's momentum. 3. The catastrophe at Teutoburg Forest, 9 CE. The defining event in the Roman-Germanic conflict was the ambush of 3 Roman legions under Publius Quinctilius Varus in the Teutoburg Forest. This battle remains a symbol of Germanic resistance and Roman vulnerability. Arminius' masterstroke. Arminius, a Cherusci chieftain and former Roman ally, used his knowledge of Roman tactics to lure Varus into the dense forests of Germania. The terrain, combined with the element of surprise, nullified the Romans' organizational advantages. The aftermath: over 20,000 Roman soldiers were killed, and their eagle standards captured. The psychological impact on Rome was immense. Emperor Augustus reportedly exclaimed, "Varus, give me back my legions." 4. Rome's retaliation. Germanicus campaigns, 15 to 16 CE. Determined to restore Roman honor, Emperor Tiberius dispatched Germanicus, a capable general, to avenge the Teutoburg defeat. Tactical precision. Germanicus employed a mix of naval and land operations, using the Rhine and Weser rivers to outflank the tribes. He recovered the lost eagle standards and dealt significant blows to the Germanic forces. The Battle of Itus Diviso, 16 CE. In one of the largest battles of the conflict, Germanicus faced Arminius near the Weser River. While the Romans claimed a tactical victory, they failed to decisively crush the Germanic resistance. Despite his successes, Germanicus was recalled to Rome. The empire abandoned plans to conquer Germania, focusing instead on consolidating the Rhine frontier. 5. A century of uneasy peace. For much of the 1st and 2nd centuries CE, the Rhine and Danube rivers marked the boundary between Rome and Germania. While large-scale invasions subsided, the struggle continued in the form of raids, skirmishes, and defensive measures. The Limes Germanicus. Rome constructed an extensive network of forts, walls, and watchtowers along its northern frontier, symbolizing its shift from expansion to defense. Cultural exchange. Despite the animosity, trade and cultural exchange flourished. Germanic mercenaries served in Roman armies, and Roman goods found their way into tribal settlements. 6. The Marcomannic Wars, 166 to 180 CE. In the late 2nd century CE, the Marcomanni, Quadi, and other Germanic tribes launched a series of invasions across the Danube, threatening northern Italy itself. Marcus Aurelius campaigns. The Roman emperor personally led the defense, showcasing remarkable leadership. His campaigns were grueling, involving both military victories and negotiations to stabilize the frontier. Prolonged struggles. While Rome repelled the invasions, the wars drained the empire's resources and highlighted the growing pressure on its borders. 7. The migration period and the fall of Rome. By the 4th century CE, the endless struggles reached a climactic phase during the migration period. Germanic tribes, displaced by the Huns and other nomadic groups, began to move en masse into Roman territory. The sack of Rome, 410 CE, led by Alaric I, the Visigoths sacked Rome, marking the beginning of the empire's decline. This event symbolized the culmination of centuries of Germanic resistance. Germanic kingdoms. As the Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 CE, Germanic tribes established successor states, such as the Ostrogoths in Italy, the Visigoths in Spain, and the Franks in Gaul. 8. Key factors behind Germanic resistance. A unity in diversity. Despite their internal rivalries, the Germanic tribes could unite against a common foe when necessary. Figures like Arminius exemplified this rare but powerful unity. Mastery of terrain. The dense forests and marshlands of Germania provided natural defenses that the tribes used to their advantage. They ambushed Roman forces, disrupted supply lines, and avoided pitched battles when at a disadvantage. Cultural resilience. The Germanic tribes' decentralized, kin-based society made them difficult to subjugate. Even after military defeats, their leaders could regroup and continue resistance. 9. The legacy of endless struggles. The struggle between Rome and the Germanic tribes had far-reaching consequences. Defining Europe's borders. The Rhine and Danube rivers became cultural and political boundaries, influencing the development of Europe. The end of Roman expansion. The failure to conquer Germania marked the limits of Roman imperial ambitions. Germanic influence. The eventual integration of Germanic tribes into former Roman territories shaped the medieval European order, blending Roman and Germanic traditions. Conclusion. The endless struggles between Rome and the Germanic tribes were not merely military confrontations but a battle for identity and survival. While Rome sought to impose its order, the Germanic tribes fought for their independence and way of life. Their resistance, though fragmented and often chaotic, proved enduring. In the end, it was not just a story of Rome versus Germania but of how two worlds collided and, together, forged the foundation of modern Europe. 10. Germanic influence on the decline of Rome. As the centuries unfolded, the Germanic tribes moved from resisting Rome to shaping the empire's destiny. The migration period, spanning from the late 4th century to the early 6th century CE, marked the final phase of the Roman-Germanic struggle. It was during this time that the balance of power shifted irreversibly. Germanic tribes as allies and adversaries. By the late 4th century, Germanic tribes were no longer distant enemies, but integral to Rome's military and political fabric. However, this relationship was fraught with tension. Federati agreements. Rome often enlisted Germanic tribes as federati, allied forces, granting them land and privileges in exchange for military service. This arrangement, while practical in the short term, planted seeds of long-term instability as these tribes retained their distinct identities and ambitions. The Visigothic uprising. In 378 CE, tensions boiled over at the Battle of Adrianople. The Visigoths, initially settled as federati, rebelled against Roman mistreatment and crushed the Roman army, killing Emperor Valens. This defeat marked the beginning of the end for Roman dominance in the West. The sack of Rome, 410 CE. One of the most symbolic events in the decline of the Roman Empire was the sack of Rome by Alaric I and his Visigothic forces. Rome's weakness exposed. Alaric, a former Roman general, exploited the empire's internal divisions and declining military strength. His demands for land and recognition were refused, leading to his march on Rome. A turning point, the sack of Rome sent shockwaves across the ancient world. Although the city was no longer the empire's political capital, its cultural and spiritual significance made its fall a devastating blow to Roman prestige. See Germanic kingdoms in former Roman lands. As the Western Roman Empire crumbled, Germanic tribes filled the power vacuum, establishing kingdoms that would shape the future of Europe. The Franks,